Welcome back, boys and girls, to Disney Pixar Enchanted Forest podcast. We've got a very special guest for you guys today, Mr. Prince Charming, and his sponsor, Beautiful Flowing Locks of Lust. And I'm Lightning McQueen, and I'm sponsored by Rusty's Medicated Bumper Ointment. Nothing cures a rusty bumper like Rusty's. Wait, you're not Prince Charming. Wrong podcast. Heyo! Welcome back, everybody, to the Fast Break with Taylor and Jake. As always, the Prince Charming-less Jake Merritt. And I'm Taylor Harper. We are here today to give you a special episode of the Fast Break. Sorry for that very weird introduction. Those are usually my Thursday podcast.
Oh, that's funny. I liked it.
We're here now at the Fast Break.
We are. Taylor, your Celtics have won 3 in a row.
Woo! I can't even remember the last time they've won 3 in a row, to be honest.
I don't know, but hey, you're back in the 4th seed. You are ahead of the Knicks. Miami Heat, they are now in the playoffs as well. 4 through the 10th seed is all really close in the Eastern Conference. But hey, our teams are back. We're looking to get ahead of the Knicks pretty soon, and all will be right. Now that Boston's ahead of the Knicks, the world is half in order. Now we need the Heat to be ahead of the Knicks, and the other half of the world will be in order. Don't know what's going on in New York, but you'll have to see it. So yeah.
I guess.
Whatever.
So we got some, not necessarily, we got some controversial topics to kind of talk about that have perspired over the past few days.
Transpired?
No, I'm going to say perspired.
Okay.
So, especially with Donovan Mitchell's remarks. The camera is a little unfocused, but that's all right. Not unfocused, but it's that way. But
Angled.
I got a lot of room over here, and Jake doesn't. But that's okay. We're going to roll with it anyway, because you know what? We have 21 subscribers. So you know what? Take that, YouTube. Should we just dive right into that, or should we go into All-Star a little bit?
Let's talk about Donovan.
Okay.
Donovan's fresh. Let's talk about Donovan.
Okay.
So, I watched the... Did you watch the game?
I did not. I was actually door dashing.
Oh, okay. I was watching the Jazz and Philadelphia, and, the Jazz had a pretty good lead for most of it. I really thought they'd put it away. They missed some bunnies. The Jazz should have won this game. They really should have. But they let Philadelphia crawl back into it. And then in overtime... So Donovan got a technical earlier in the game. Can't remember how. Maybe. And then in overtime, something else happened, and Joel Embiid, because he's the perfect player. He never does anything wrong. He doesn't flop. He doesn't cry.
The referees love him.
Right? Yeah, Joel Embiid. I mean, he's God's gift to the NBA.
Absolutely.
Really. I mean, Joel Embiid is just a stand-up guy. He doesn't do anything wrong. So, anyways. So he actually convinced the refs to give Donovan Mitchell a tech. That one may have been his first. Yeah, that was the first one, I think. And then Donovan got another one in overtime after what he thought was a foul. He was just frustrated, the heat of the moment of the game, and he gets tossed.
Is that his first ejection ever?
It has to be. He's never. I guarantee he's never been. It may have been his first game with a technical, to be honest. But anyways. Let me see if I can find the clip and play it of what Donovan... Well, okay. Actually, it does say the F word.
He does
say the F word, but anyways, Donovan gave a pretty passionate speech, which he tends to be pretty good with the media. He knows what he's doing. He doesn't want to get fined, I assume.
Right.
But he
unloaded.
He unloaded on the refs after this game. He's like, this is just getting ridiculous. The fouls that are happening, the techs, the ejections, people getting thrown out for no apparent reason. Devin Booker the night before bounced a ball at a ref, said something to another. Double tech, he's out of here.
Right. Well, here's the funny thing is, too. We're talking about how Joel Embiid is untouchable by the referees. Obviously, if you guys can't tell, we're being sarcastic about that. But the funny thing is, the sad thing is, Donovan probably, he might not. Well, I imagine Donovan's going to get fined just because if you do anything towards a ref, boom. Get a fine. Like, the refs are God's gift to the world. At least that's... I feel like they've got... And they do have the power to control games, and they know that. But the way they've been officiating has just been absolute garbage.
Yeah. Refs are not there to control the game. And that goes to any level of sports. If the refs are controlling the game, you've got a problem.
Well, here's the thing, too.
It's a game. It's a contest between these two teams, and the refs keep it fair. That's what refs do. They officiate so that, so if one team commits a foul, the other team gets, what's the word? Not a reward for it, but, justice, I guess.
Right.
Things are just kind of set. That's what refs are supposed to do. So, like when Jordan Clarkson, earlier in the year, he just kind of stumbled, ran into a ref, and kind of, pushed him back a little, extended his arms, tech.
Right, I mean...
And I'm like, dude, come on. Like,
right.
You guys aren't made out of glass. You'll be fine. And stop throwing these players out for ridiculous reasons.
Right.
Like, DeMarcus Cousins, he couldn't stay on the court for the Rockets.
Right.
And he addressed it earlier in the season. He's like, it's ridiculous. He said the exact same thing Donovan Mitchell said. He said, it's getting ridiculous, it's out of hand, and we're sick of it.
Well, here's the really terrible part, too, is, and I think we might have touched on this before, too, refs are kind of trying out. The refs are also in a season of their own. The playoff referees and the finals refs are refs who have, I'm going to say the word ref a lot, are referees who refed a lot in the season, and they eliminate referees. If you're not a very good ref, they'll kick you out and they'll stop playing. So like in the finals, it's the best of the best referees who have performed well in officiating previous basketball games. And usually you get the better referees on national television, which unfortunately that game was on ESPN, so it was nationally televised. Or was it TNT?
Who? The Jazz.
The Jazz and 76ers.
It actually wasn't nationally televised.
Oh, it wasn't?
No.
Okay, well then maybe that's why the...
But
well,
the
then
Lakers
never
and
mind.
Suns, the Lakers and Suns the day before, that was on, I believe, TNT.
Right.
That
So
was
usually they have the better officiators in the nationally televised games, which is lame in a sense, but also good. So maybe that's why the referees did absolute officiate like garbage against the Jazz, because it wasn't nationally televised.
Everyone on the comments on Instagram, everyone who watched that game from both sides was saying, some people were saying, oh, the Jazz are complaining because they lost. I'm like, there were some calls that didn't go their way. But you know what, Donovan Mitchell, in that post-game rant, he said, there's been games that we have won because of this, and there's been games that we've lost. So he wasn't just cherry-picking this one game. That's just when it came out of him.
Right.
But yeah, absolutely, I see what you're saying. I mean, they won last year against the Pelicans. There was a questionable no call, I think, on Rudy Gobert's block on Brandon Ingram or something like that. So they have
They'll favor every team. It's just when it happens to be your team and they're not favoring, then it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And the refs aren't perfect. We get that, but
Maybe
you can be a
like
little bit more. I don't know. Maybe because I think there's 3 referees. Maybe adding a 4th. I don't know. Just to maximize everything you could possibly see. Just because this is the NBA, it's not a local rec league or it's not the stinking Drew League. This is the best of the best NBA players. So you need the best of the best officiating. These guys are stinking professionals.
Right.
So you want to get maximum officiating you can get. So if they've had terrible calls, do something about it.
And you need to keep the good players on the court.
I mean, seriously.
That's why we watch, right?
If they seriously deserve to be ejected, then throw them out. If they look at you, point at you, and chuck that ball in your face, yeah, kick him out of the stinking game. But Donovan Mitchell, for not getting a foul call going, what? God, that's BS, okay? That is where it gets ridiculous, as Donovan and previous NBA players have said. The referees,
right, he's not the first one. He is not the first one that's come out about this year. And it's not going to be the last.
Right, absolutely.
It's been bad this year.
So,
They've been bad in the past, but man, it's funny. It's like there's only one time I can think of. Maybe it's just because of the difference of the sport. Okay, I can think of 2 off the top of my head, absolutely egregious calls in the NFL that went the wrong way. That's it, though.
Right.
I mean, it seems like it happens on the nightly basis in the NBA where you're just like, what was that?
Right.
Or this player's getting ejected. Like, why are these players getting ejected?
Right. Well, and I do love that the NBA
ejected,
finally
kicked out of the game.
Right.
You can't play anymore.
Right. The thing that I do love the NBA did start to incorporate is the challenge call.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you got to fix it. In the sense of, I don't think you can use it in the last 2 minutes of a game. Of the fourth quarter. I think you can do it like the first, second, and third quarter. But the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, I do believe you're not allowed to use your challenge, which that's when you're probably going to want to use it, especially if it's a close game.
And they usually do tend to review those calls in the final 2 minutes if it's questionable. But what if they don't want to review it?
Well, that's the thing,
you're
right?
Sure about it. Yeah,
right.
It's like, why can't a player? Why can't they at any time use it? It doesn't make any sense. Why can't they use it at any time?
Right.
I don't get it. And then, like for example, say the Heat are playing the Celtics and the ball is tipped off of Jimmy Butler and they call it Heat, and then Brad Stevens challenges it. They're like, oh, it was off Jimmy Butler. Rather than giving it to the Celtics, they do a jump ball.
Right.
Because they can't basically do the opposite if the challenge is incorrect. So, do you know what I'm saying though?
Right.
Like the whole jump ball, it's like then it's a 50-50 on who gets it back.
They need to do something about
it. You need to give it. You can I don't know why you can't just overturn a call and go the other way when it's pretty clear and obvious what actually happened.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just common sense. It's like, I don't even get the logic behind it.
Yeah.
I don't even get the logic of, oh, well, we have to tip it because, I guess it was off Jimmy Butler, but we didn't call it to
But
go
we
to the
thought
Celtics.
it was this other way. Yeah,
Right.
it's just, they need to review their whole replay system, their whole challenging, and their whole overturning calls thing. I think the NBA needs to sit down and have a really good discussion about that, because that right now has been the big factor. We haven't had too many complaints about the season except for the officiating, and
That's it. The season's been pretty good.
The season's been great. I mean, we've had teams who, like Jake said, Knicks are finally starting to win games instead of only winning like 13 for a season. They're already at number win
18 and 18.
18. So they're already doing great.
The
Charlotte is in the 6th spot. We're having teams come out of nowhere. Minnesota is absolute garbage of the garbage. Nothing has changed in that aspect. But yeah,
they're so bad. They're terrible.
That's enough of that. So you guys can comment what you guys think about the whole NBA officiating. We need to start. We should have started with this, and I don't know why I didn't. Jake, last week I challenged you to make your case as to why, I was going to say Kyrie, Kyle Korver is the greatest three-point shooter in NBA history.
All right.
Can you make that case?
I think I can make a decent one.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, I mean, there's 4 people that come to mind when you think of the best shooters of all time. You got Reggie Miller, Steph Curry, Ray Allen, and Kyle Korver. Some people may say Larry Bird or Klay Thompson, but I don't think they're quite there yet. I think they're phenomenal. Both of them are phenomenal.
Right.
But they haven't done it on the same scale that these other guys have.
Well, and the funny thing is, I think about Larry Bird, I'll just quickly interrupt you for a second. Larry Bird didn't even make 800 three-pointers for his career.
Right.
It was almost 800, I think, but it was 700 and something.
He was a good shooter.
So he was a great shooter, but they didn't shoot at all back then.
Right, exactly.
So, to even consider him in the top, I guess you could, but, yeah. Sorry. Take it over.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
I love Larry Bird. So.
I'm just pulling up the all-time three-point shooting list, just so we can kind of see where he's at. Okay, yeah, he's 4th. That's what I suspected. So he is 4th behind Ray Allen, Steph Curry. It goes Ray Allen, Steph Curry, Reggie Miller, and then Kyle Korver, and then James Harden. James Harden's going to pass him pretty soon.
Yeah, that's pretty BS.
That's crazy. He's shot a lot. Though.
And to even say James Harden is a better three-point shooter than Kyle Korver, you are done.
That's not true. All right, so let's start with the OG Reggie Miller. Obviously, he is ahead of Kyle Korver, but not by much. He's about 110 ahead of him. Listen to how many he's taken, though. He attempted, for his career, that's per 36. For his career, he attempted 6,486.
How many has he made?
2,560. So he's 110 ahead. So Reggie Miller's at 2,560. Kyle Korver's at 2,450. And is Kyle Korver done? Did he retire?
I think he has retired.
I think he has. So anyways, but that's the important thing is how many he's taken. So 6,486. Kyle Korver has only taken, and I say only, it's still a lot, but he's taken 5,715.
I thought it was a whole 100 or 1,000 less though.
Yeah, that's quite a bit less, and he's only 110 behind. Career-wise, he's 42.9%, so 43%, which is
That's
as
so
good as it
crazy.
gets. He's taken,
That
guys,
is
he's
so
taken
crazy.
5,715, and he's not far off of making half of them.
Right.
That's not half, but 43%. That's a good percentage. So Reggie Miller, not in the conversation.
It's official. Jake said it.
Ray Allen, he has taken 7,429 compared to Kyle Korver's. What was Kyle Korver at? 5,700. 5,700 compared to 7,400. Now, obviously, he's made more, but career-wise, he only shoots, he shoots 40%, which is still ridiculously good, but it's not quite the same as Kyle Korver. So percentage-wise, again, I'm going to give it to Kyle Korver just as a pure shooter. Obviously, Kyle Korver's the least well-rounded of these three other players, but we're talking just best three-point shooter. So now I've whittled it down to Kyle Korver and Steph Curry. If you disagree, okay. But I think those numbers are pretty clear. Now here's where it gets tricky. Okay. I mean, Steph's on another planet for shooting, but so is Kyle Korver. Steph is 43.3%, so he's 0.04% ahead of Kyle Korver, which is almost nothing, anyways. Kyle Korver is Steph Curry has shot 6,150, so he's shot a lot more in a lot shorter time than Kyle Korver. 6,150 is made 2,664. So he's about 200 ahead of Kyle Korver, and the percentages are pretty comparable. So you can't say Kyle Korver beats him in the numbers, because he doesn't. Now what you can say is Steph is the number one guy who's changed the league and has had the ultimate green light and shoots what he wants when he wants, and he's not going to get in trouble for it. Well, Kyle Korver has had to do this all as the third or fourth option out there on the bench. Or, not on the bench, third or fourth option on the court at any given time. He's not going to be one or two. He's going to be the third or fourth option. So that's the only route I can go as to say why Kyle Korver is the best shooter of all time, is because he's put up these numbers while all these other guys, Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, and Steph Curry, have at one point or another been the number one go-to guy. And Kyle Korver has just put up these numbers as catch and shoot. So there he is. That's why if he was the number one guy like Steph Curry, he'd have better numbers than Steph. He'd have more.
So I was talking to Jake a little bit about this. I was actually going to try to make this case last week. Some stuff came up, so I was not able to prepare very, very well. But I will tell you, Jake, everything you talked about was exactly what I was going to talk about. And if you didn't bring it up, I was going to bring it up just barely about him he was never the number one option on his team.
No.
He's never the number one option. And Jake said sometimes the fourth option. So.
And you know what? Steph Curry, he's just luckier. He is just luckier.
Right? So, I give you a nice round of applause.
Thank you.
So he made his claim. Yeah, there you go. People in the comments, I want you guys to comment whether he changed your mind or if he made a good point. Like, wow, maybe Kyle Korver, he might have been the best three-point shooter of all time. I don't know. So please, please, please in the comments write down how good of a job Jake did trying to explain that, because if you ask anybody on the street, who's the best three-point shooter?
Steph, Ray Allen, and then Reggie Miller.
Right.
They'll probably all put him ahead of Kyle Korver.
People will probably forget about Kyle Korver. They'll probably even say Klay Thompson before Kyle Korver, or they'll say James Harden instead of Kyle Korver. I think Kyle Korver gets swept underneath the rug a ton of times. But so comment what you guys think about his case.
Put some respect on the unathletic shooter.
For real, though.
I mean, especially, when was he the best? Probably with the Hawks.
That would be my guess. I know he was an all-star with the Hawks.
He was good with the Jazz. He did make an all-star team with the Hawks.
This is coming off of memory and not looking at the internet. I believe he scored 21 points in the all-star game and hit 7 3-pointers in the all-star game.
Let's see. If you actually know
If I get
let's see, that would be pretty good. Yep, 21.73 pointers.
woo again. NBA, look out, man.
He was a replacement for Dwayne Wade, it turns out. I didn't know that.
Oh, I did not know that either. I believe that was the year was it 4 Hawks made it?
Yeah.
Well, if he made it then,
Yeah, it was Paul Millsap, Al Horford, Corbett, and was it Jeff Teague?
I would have.
It was Jeff Teague.
Jeff Teague, yeah.
Yep.
So
Crazy.
yeah, so Jake, good stinking job.
Thank you.
And then he said he's got a case for me. Is that what you said, right?
I'll think of one by the end of the show.
Okay.
I'll think of one by the end of the show.
Sounds good. So again, nice job, Jacob. So we're going to talk about All-Star Weekend. Jake is super excited for All-Star Weekend. He just texts me every single day. I am so pumped. I am so pumped. I am so pumped. Jake, how pumped are you?
Guys, I hate All-Star Weekends. And you know what?
Didn't even sugarcoat it.
Nobody cares about the All-Star Weekend. No, I'm just kidding. Taylor cares about the All-Star
I think
Weekend.
it's fun.
And you know what? I'm glad it's coming up because I like to see you happy.
Here's what I like about it. It's just the 3-point shootout. Like I love the All-Star game, but then the 3-point shootout is what I really like.
I'm interested to see who wins the 3-point shootout. Yeah, it's kind of cool to see. You put 6 great shooters out there. Who's going to make the most in this competition? I'm just like, I'll tune in, I'll see who's the winner, but it's just not really moving the meter for me.
That's
you know
fair.
What I'm saying?
That's fair.
And I know it does for you.
It's fun stuff.
The All-Star, the Skills Challenge, pretty cool when I was 8 years old.
Yeah, because it was actually a skills challenge.
The dunk contest, people say the dunks aren't any good. I went back and just watched the highlights from last year's dunk contest. They were pretty good.
I loved last year's dunk contest. That
good.
was intense. That was just 50
good.
after 50 after 50.
Right.
Aaron Gordon got
Too
robbed
many
again,
50s.
so we'll see what.
Too many 50s.
Yeah. Yes.
That's another thing that frustrates me about All-Star Weekend. I'm like 50. Like 50 out of 50. There couldn't have been one thing better to make this dunk any better. So whether they need to whip out the decimal system so you can give them a 9.2, I'd say that would be worth it.
Right.
Because when everything's a 50,
Nothing
is a 50.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It diminishes what those actual 50s. The Aaron Gordon jumping over the mascot, putting it under his legs and dunking it. Best dunk I've ever seen.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that's a 50.
Right.
Right? So that's another thing. And then the All-Star game, I do like how, I think it was a couple years ago, I know Chris Paul didn't play in the All-Star game because he was injured for some reason. And he was like, I can't even watch this. This is so bad. The lack of defense, so uninteresting to watch. And then he and I don't know, the other players or whatever, they just decided, didn't 2 years ago was pretty good, right? They tried 2 years ago.
I think so.
Then they tried, last year was also pretty good.
Right.
Obviously not 100% playoff energy, but that's okay. It's the All-Star game. I don't
But
expect
that fourth
it to.
quarter was pretty intense.
But I do expect him to. It's usually fairly intense in the fourth quarter, just because of the competitive nature of these guys.
Right.
But it's the first 3 quarters where they're just no defense, open alley-oops, which sounds great, but it's not.
Right.
So that's why for the All-Star Weekend, and then the celebrity game never should have happened. Rookies and sophomores game.
Okay, the rookies and sophomores game is a great, great game. Why they had to change it to USA versus World, I think is stupid.
That's probably, honestly, the one that intrigues me most.
Rookie, sophomore?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever actually watched it because I'm always busy on Friday or something. But that one's actually got some.
Because the sophomores, they got that stick up their butt. They can't lose to the rookies, and the rookies are going out and trying to prove themselves. And now it's USA versus World. I'm like,
are they doing it this year?
yeah, they are.
Are they?
They're doing that.
They're doing it all on Sunday, right?
That I actually don't know. I don't know about the USA versus World game. I would imagine maybe it's just like at 3. I know the All-Star game is at 6. Maybe that happens at like 3
They
or
do a
something.
dunk contest at halftime.
Yeah.
I think 3-point shootout and skills challenge before, which I like. Honestly, I don't get the point of dragging it out. I know it's called All-Star Weekend, but I'm more likely to watch those other events if you put it on all on the same day.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, because Friday night, I know for Michaela and I, my wife and I, we try to make that our date night. Saturday. It's Saturday. No one's going to want to be home watching television on Saturday. You want to go out and party. Yeah, totally. Just have it all in one day. I think that's a great idea. But let's talk about the dunk contest for a second.
I don't think it's happening.
It is. They've already announced the rosters, though.
This is on CBS Sports. While there won't be a Rising game during the slate of All-Star festivities on March 7th, the NBA still decided to announce which players have been honored with their roster spots. So they're making the rosters, but I don't think they're actually playing.
Well, that's stupid.
Sorry, Taylor.
I was looking forward to it, man. I think this dunk contest is the very first dunk contest where if the judges were to compete, it would be a more entertaining dunk contest with the judges than the actual participants. Okay, NBA. I don't know if it's your lack of communicating with the stars of the NBA, or if it's the stars who don't want to go out and embarrass themselves or try not to get injured or whatever. But you guys have got to pick better participants than this. This is absolute garbage. Obi Toppin, he's a phenomenal dunker, and in my opinion, should be in the dunk contest. Maybe when he actually plays.
When
he actually plays.
Know who he is.
And Fernie Simons, he's having a pretty good year. He's probably the most played player, I guess. But Cassius Stanley, he's averaging 1.1 point a game, Jake. That's not even a dunk a game. I mean, that was almost worse. You probably don't remember this. I remember this because I was blown away at how terrible of a selection this was. Brandon Jennings was in the dunk contest. Did you know that? Brandon Jennings was selected.
That a long time
he got injured, so he didn't participate.
I remember he was selected though.
They before it happened, they showed the dunkers and they told how many dunks they had in the season. Brandon Jennings only had 2 dunks. Like, why would you put a guy in the dunk contest who's only dunked 2 times in the season? And Cassius Stanley, everyone has seen his highlights of dunking on Ball is Life and in college and all that stuff. He's a phenomenal freak athlete. Okay.
See, here's the thing. The casual like me who doesn't really get into like the high school highlights,
Right.
I don't know who this guy is.
Right. He put up a point a game. Like, you guys have got to pick people. I said last week, if Miles Bridges is not in this dunk contest, I am boycotting the NBA. Miles Bridges is not in the dunk contest.
I'm going to hold you to that. You better not watch the dunk
contest. The dunk contest I definitely will not watch. I will watch it be the best dunk contest of all time. But no, seriously, you don't have to get LeBron, Zion, Russell Westbrook, all these guys, but get at least a name people know. The only person who knows.
Better if you have the superstars.
Right.
I don't know why the superstars just don't do it anymore, ever. Like, has Jaylen Brown ever done it?
No. He was going to be last year.
He should do it. Jaylen Brown, he's a known player who can throw it down. Damian Lillard, he's been in it before. He can throw it down, and I don't think he ever won it, but at least he was in it. Zion, I don't think he's ever going to be in it.
I think he's already said he doesn't want to be. Right.
I wish he was. John Morant, he could do it. He could throw it down. I mean, I just don't know what the problem with the NBA. Like,
Westbrook's never been in it, and he's probably debatably the best dunking guard of all time. Rose was never in it.
Yeah. I don't know if the NBA needs to write him a real big check, but they should, because more people are gonna watch. It's gonna be a lot more. I don't know. Maybe the NBA doesn't make any more money if you have big names. I don't know how that all works.
I guess, yeah.
But either way, I mean, they should just realize.
So doesn't the winner get to give
All-Star Weekend? I mean, Michael freaking Jordan has been in the dunk contest.
Right.
The greatest player ever was in the dunk contest. And now you have Cassius Stanley and Anthony freaking Simons.
The only people who know who Anthony Simons is if you're a Blazers fan.
Yeah.
And
even then, if you're just a casual, you probably don't even know who he is.
Oh my gosh, NBA, that is terrible.
Bad.
Let's move on from the dunk contest. You guys can watch it if you want. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. 3-point shootout is the only event that seems to get the big names in there.
Yeah.
And again, they have lived up to the expectation this year. Steph, what is this, 7th time? And he's only won it once. That's the funny thing. Think about, you could have used that in your case too. Stephen Curry's been in this competition so many times, has only won once.
True.
Korver, I think, has won. I know for a fact Korver's won, I think. I think he actually won in his rookie year.
Did he?
But, don't quote me on that. But, so they've got Stephen Curry again.
Devin Booker,
Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, and Zach LaVine.
That's 6 All-Stars.
Pretty good shooters, if I do say so myself.
Why couldn't she get any of it? I feel like I think it's got to be like risk of injury or maybe just risk of embarrassment. Like maybe losing the dunk contest is more embarrassing than losing 3-point shootout.
Well, and here's the thing too. If you guys are worried about injuring yourself on a dunk, you guys are probably going to dunk more in the All-Star game than you would in the actual dunk competition. So if you're worried about stubbing your toe or twisting your ankle or anything, don't play in the game.
You just got to do something crazy, and the crazier your dunk attempt, the more like the higher your risk for injury. That's the only explanation I can think of. But anyways, and then only because we have to, am I going to read the contest for the skills challenge? Luka Doncic, Domantas Sabonis.
Again for the third straight year.
See, I didn't even know if he was in it for the third straight. That's how much I don't pay attention to the skills.
Why
contest.
him?
Julius Randle, Robert Covington, Nikola Vucevic, and Chris Paul.
Chris Paul's going to win.
Chris Paul will probably win. I could also see Luka maybe.
Julius Randle might surprise.
Julius Randle, but not Covington, not Sabonis, not Vucevic.
I think Sabonis, did Sabonis win it? No, Bam won it last year, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe you're right, he did. So there's your skills challenge. Don't waste your time on it.
No, watch it. That's going to be good. No. I was actually really hoping for... Okay, why in the world are you going to put Robert Covington in there? Like,
because they needed people, and he said he'd do it.
I think LaMelo would have done good. I would have liked to see LaMelo in there. I know I talk about LaMelo too much, but then at the same time, I don't think you could talk about LaMelo too much because he's so stinking good. Yeah, so that's All-Star Weekend. It's definitely going to be different this year, like Jake mentioned, all in one day. It's going to be interesting. It probably will not go down as the best All-Star Weekend in NBA history. I can guarantee you that.
Probably not. But that's all right. This year, COVID. It's because of COVID. That's why.
Right. So
I'll blame it all on COVID.
Let's talk about, because he doesn't get enough respect, at least in my opinion, and that is Mr. Zion Williamson.
Ooh, jeez.
Absolutely destroying
the league.
Gobert in the paint and and Biggs in the paint. The dude is 6'6". Like, what is he, 285?
Yeah, he's in that ballpark, 6'6", 6'7", 280, 285, somewhere around there. I think Joel might have him beat in weight because he's
taller.
Gotta be 5-6 inches taller. But in terms of just like mass,
he's
mass per inch. Let's I don't know if that's a real measurement, but mass per inch, Zion just obliterates anyone. I mean, he is enormous. I mean, you just watch a game and your eyes go right to Zion because he is so much bigger than everyone. But he is living up to the hype.
He plays bigger than everyone too.
He does. Oh, he does.
I mean,
he plays a big man. He plays like a big man role.
Like we saw Draymond Green play center and he was like 6'7" or whatever.
But Zion can actually be your big down low.
Yeah.
Because he just bumps everyone out of the way. He's an animal on the offensive glass. His rebounding numbers, he's at 7.2 a game, which is good, but I would expect him at some point to average a double-double. Yeah, okay, he's listed at 6'7", 284. Wow,
did I almost hit it on the head or what?
But anyways, I mean, just like he really is really exciting to watch.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like I just can't wait to see what he does in the future. I think he could be top 5, honestly.
He really could. He is
my top 5.
And he doesn't ever miss.
No, he
doesn't miss.
He's like, what's his shooting percentage? I don't know if I can find it for the year. Let me see if I can find it for the year.
I mean, Zion Williamson, just watching him, and I love to see a guy who is 6'6" and doesn't shoot the free ball a ton, if any. Like
Right. I mean, he knows he's not the best 3-point shooter. This year he is averaging. Let's see. Okay, he's only 31% from 3, so I don't know what happened.
From 3?
Yeah, I guess he's only taken 19 of them. He's 6 of 19. Last year he was 6 of 14 as a rookie.
Well, yeah, because that very first game he hit 4.
He hit 4 in a row.
He hit 4 in a row that first game.
And then he hit 2 the rest of the year, and he's hit 6 this year in 34 games. So he's not a 3-point shooter. That first game was, maybe he was scared to go inside. He's like, I'm just going to shoot, and it worked out. But this year, his field goal percentage, he's 61%. He was 58%.
Tell me the last time a shooting guard sized 6'6" guy shot over 60% from the field.
I don't know, dude.
I mean, that has LeBron James ever shot over 60? Do you know?
Over 60?
I mean, that is just ridiculous. And Zion, he really does act and play like Charles Barkley. And I really,
Yes.
I know a lot of people did not like Charles Barkley as a player just because he was so brutal and he was kind of a dirty player. But I really, really wish I could have watched and lived and seen Charles Barkley because
the big mound of rebound or round mound of rebound.
Like seriously, because I look at his stats and I watch highlights of him and I'm like, man, Charles Barkley could freaking play. Holy crap!
The funny thing is now, like since we didn't see him, we just think of him like we know he played obviously, but we just think of him as the goofy, hilarious analyst on TNT who's always fighting with Shaq.
Right.
And it's just like it's hard for me to actually take Charles Barkley serious and go out there and average 20 points and 20 rebounds.
Right.
and LeBron averaged his career high for field goal percentage was 56%.
So 6% more, 5% more than LeBron James's career high in his second season in the league. A very good comparison, I think, to Charles Barkley, at least from highlights that I've seen of Barkley. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, he's going to have a really very successful NBA career. Hopefully he
just got to stay healthy.
Well, that and New Orleans has got a good roster. They just can't really win. And I don't want to say he's got to get out because it is only his second season.
They have a good roster.
I think they've got a great roster. Great.
One of the best rosters probably going forward in the NBA, I think.
Right.
With Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball,
who's been playing really good as of late.
He has Zion. Steven Adams, Eric Bledsoe he's not bad at all.
Yeah. Redick, he's not a bad.
JJ Redick, he was a good shooter. He'll give you a 12 off the bench. They have Josh Hart is also.
They've got a great roster. They just, I don't know.
I don't know what the deal is.
I don't know. Same thing.
I mean, the NBA put the playoffs on a platter for them in the bubble.
They totally did.
They had 8 games to, with an easier schedule, get a better record than the Grizzlies, and then the play-in opportunity, which I don't think they got to.
They did not
because
get
they played themselves.
It was Blazers and Memphis, and if you guys watched that episode, we went on a rant on how the NBA spoon-fed New Orleans to get to the playoffs because it was going to be LeBron versus Zion as the 1 and 8. That's what it was going to be.
Platter.
They totally did, and they biffed it hardcore.
This year they are doing a playoff for the 7 through 10 spot, the 7 through 10 teams, I believe. New Orleans is a couple games outside of that. Memphis has a 3-game lead, but hey, that could change in a 2-week period. So if New Orleans plays a little bit better, I could see them at least getting a spot for the play-in. I don't think they'll make the playoffs because I think Denver. As of right now, if that 7 through 10 play-in start, that's what it is, right? 7 through 10. I think that's what it is. A 7 through 10. It'd be Denver, Dallas, Golden State, and Memphis. All of those teams, I'd probably maybe not Memphis, but Golden State, Dallas, and Denver, I would pick ahead of
New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm sure. I mean, next year maybe next year the Pelicans get in. Maybe something happens this year. The Spurs are overachieving a little bit, I think.
They're doing great.
13th, 6th. Portland is 20 and 14. They're doing very
Can we just talk about Damian Lillard for a second? And I was talking to Jake literally right before we started filming. It is physically impossible for Damian Lillard to miss game-winning shots. Like, it is ridiculous how clutch this dude is. And I'm going to say something, Jake.
How many game winners has he made this year? It's got to be at least 4.
Probably.
3 or 4.
Probably.
Another one last night against Golden State. He didn't have the best night. He was like 6 of 17 from the field. But which shot did he make? The one that counted most.
Well, and his game winners are always from way far out. Like, he must love the adrenaline rush of taking shots like that for the game winners. But you know what? You can't say anything about it because at the end of the day, that shot's going in. He might go down
no matter what
as a top 3 clutchest shooter of all time when it's all said and done.
Absolutely. I think
Oh,
Kobe missed a lot, but he also made a lot.
Well, same with
Michael
Jordan. He missed a lot, but he
missed
also
a
made a
lot, but
lot.
he also made a lot.
Lillard doesn't miss a lot.
LeBron's also actually made quite a few game winners
Yeah.
and buzzer beater stuff like that. And Damian Lillard's right there. I mean, that's probably good. I would imagine that'll be his trademark when he retires. Because, I mean, Kobe, Michael, and LeBron,
Right.
I mean, top 10 players, each of them. And championships, MVPs, scoring titles. Damian doesn't quite have any of that. He's had all NBA teams. He's had all-stars. He has had playoff berths. But he's never had like that, the championships or MVPs.
Right.
Though last year, he could have
Right.
gotten it probably. But I think what he's going to go down for is going to be how clutch he was. I think also his loyalty to Portland.
Yep.
I think he could get a statue in Portland.
I hope so.
All-time leading Portland Trailblazer scorer. He's been nothing but fantastic for that team. I mean, if you're a Portland fan, how much do you love Damian
Well, his
Lillard?
thing, I'm not a Portland fan, but I still love Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
You
Who doesn't?
cannot not like Damian Lillard.
He really is the coolest, realest guy out there.
I mean, wow.
Yeah, so a lot of players will have something they're remembered for. Allen Iverson, again, no championships, but he got his team to a finals, and the cultural change he inspired,
Right.
crossovers and tattoos and shooting sleeves,
Right.
and just kind of being yourself. John Stockton, all-time assists leader. Lots of players have kind of what they're known for, and Damian is going to be known for how clutch he was. Guarantee it. Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah.
Level.
Oh yeah. He's got that Hall of Fame badge.
He does. Phoenix is in second, Taylor.
I know. If you would have told me
What?
before the season started that at the All-Star break, Utah was the number 1 and Phoenix was the number 2, Jake, we were debating putting Phoenix in the playoffs. They're going to the playoffs. They're going to the
They
playoffs.
They're 23-11.
That's only a Jazz or something
They've
in
won-
29, right?
The Jazz are 27-9, yeah. So they're 3 games behind the Jazz. The Jazz are on a 2-game losing streak. They're 6-4 in their last 10. The Jazz have really cooled down. I think the All-Star break is going to kind of refresh them, hopefully get them a little bit fired up to lock in this first seed.
Right.
Because I don't think Phoenix is going to hold this.
I don't either. It's just because Anthony Davis is out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Clippers have kind of been battling. I know Kawhi, when Boston beat him the other night, Kawhi didn't play.
Yeah, him and Paul George have been
So he kind of
injury-ridden-ish.
Yeah.
Or load managing.
Hey, I haven't heard that at all this year.
Managing. A little bit.
Have you? From them?
They've not played every game.
Oh, yeah.
I think that, and I don't think they've said load management is the reason for sitting anything out, but I think they've probably, my
Stubbed their toe
thigh's
or
not
something.
feeling too good. My thigh's not feeling good. I've got the sniffles. I'm gonna sit out for a game.
Right.
As actual load management.
Well, I got a fever. What is
Kawhi's,
it?
that's his thing.
99.
Kawhi's gonna do that. That's Kawhi's trademark. He's
a
gonna
flake.
Be, he's gonna be a load manager. He's really good though. I do like Kawhi. And then in the East, Eastern standings have been, the top couple spots have been about the same as they've been for a while. You've got Philadelphia, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Boston, and you've got New York and Charlotte, who are big surprises. Miami in 7 and Toronto at 8. And then somehow the Pacers all of a sudden fell out of it.
Woohoo!
4 and 6 in their last 10. So, I mean, it's crazy how fast these standings change because they were 4th last week. Our teams were out of the playoffs. Now the Celtics are 4th. Miami is
Come on, boys.
7th. And Miami's looking better as of late. So, these standings, they change, it seems like, on a nightly basis.
Yeah.
I kind of want to talk about James Harden. But is
Okay.
there anything else you want to talk about after that? Anything else you want to touch on?
I don't think so.
The Lakers are trash. I'm just going to say that.
They're not trash.
They're not trash, but they're...
As soon as Davis come back, they're gonna win the
No,
championship.
but they're 3 and 7 in their last 10.
Because here's
Is
my.
Davis that big of an impact?
I think he is because
It was funny. Last year, I was kind of riding the Lakers train.
yeah, and I thought
And
it was
this year, I'm like, trash. Until I was like, no, they're
Well, I
fine.
started watching, and I've always watched.
Maybe I'm
Davis.
prisoner of the moment. aren't. But.
Right. No, I've always watched Anthony Davis play, but I started watching him more particularly this year and how the whole spacing thing works with him. Because I'm not a huge fan of big guys who shoot threes. And when he first came in the league, he did not have a three-point shot. He had a nice mid-range jumper, but he's completely developed a three-point shot now, which I guess is good for him, but I still don't like it. So I kind of watch how he plays. And LeBron James is the greatest basketball player on any court, but there's just something about having Anthony Davis there.
Yeah.
LeBron James can only do so much.
I think LeBron is sick of doing it on his own, so I don't think he's trying quite as hard as he tends
right.
to. I think honestly they're just get us to the playoffs and then we're locked in. I mean, LeBron's not in the playoffs at this stage of his career what he's going to be in the regular season.
Okay, I don't care what you Lakers Nation fans say, what you NBA fans say. Alex Caruso is a scrub, okay? People, he gets decent minutes, and I'm I don't know why you're actually playing in this game right now. Alex Caruso, he started a few games, I think, and besides LeBron James and Anthony Davis, this is what I said about him last year. They don't have a great roster, and I will stand by that. They do not have a great roster.
That's true, and that's kind of what I'm seeing a little bit more this year.
Schroeder, he had a great game last night, but I don't count on him to come in. I don't know.
If Schroeder and Harold can play as good as they can, obviously you're going to get from LeBron and AD. Right. Probably at least Western Conference Finals. No matter how good the Lakers play, I don't think it's a guarantee they're getting to the finals again.
Right.
But if you don't get good play, at least from Harrell and Schroeder, I don't know if they make it past the second round.
Montrez is not
the Jazz could knock
this
them.
year.
The Jazz, the Jazz, the Clippers in the second round could knock them. If all you're getting is LeBron and AD,
right?
I'd say they could get knocked in the second round.
Which would be great. Which would be great. I'm always a fan of LeBron James leaving early. Always a fan of it. Harden, what do you want to talk about?
Dude, I think he should get MVP.
Are you kidding?
Dude, he's been tremendous for the Nets. I mean, triple-double after triple-double. Since he's gotten there, he's been it seems like Kyrie and KD are okay, we're coming back in the playoffs. We're gonna play every now and then. I think he's having issues with his, I don't know if it's Achilles or calf, but he's not. Let's see, 1 second. He's not too focused on coming back. I think maybe I don't know if he came back too early. If he was out for 18 months, I don't know how he came back too early. But he just wants to save himself, I think, for the playoffs. I think Kyrie also is the same. So they're like, James Harden, just do what you did in Houston. I mean, look at these last 5 games here, Taylor. Okay, 41 minutes, 44 minutes, 33 minutes, 33 minutes, 41 minutes. Listen to his stats here. So yesterday, that's 41 minutes. 29 points, 10 rebounds, 14 assists. On the first against San Antonio, 30 points, 14 rebounds, 15 assists, 2 steals. Against Orlando, he had 7 assists, 9 rebounds, 20 points, 29 against Sacramento, 11 rebounds, 14 assists. Who's playing better?
Well, I was not on the train a few weeks ago, but as of...
Are you paying attention to the Nets?
I am
paying attention to them.
I am.
And James Harden's been a beast, dude.
I know, but they're not going to give him that award. I think fans are not going to look at his game by game stats. They're going to look at his end of season stats, and that scoring outburst. And this is kind of pathetic to say, is not impressive for James Harden, which is kind of sad to say. 25 and a half points a game is not impressive for James Harden in a sense. But when you think about it as a basketball aspect, that's great. So I don't think he's going to get it just for that reason. I'm now on the train, and he's number 1 right now is Joel Embiid. I am not a fan of Joel Embiid by any means. Mm-hmm. But I've started watching him more just because he continues to stay number 1 on the MVP line. I'm like, okay, seriously. So I've been watching him more.
I think he'll. Okay,
he just obliterated the two-time defensive player of the year. He killed him. 40 points, 19 rebounds. He killed him.
I mean, a lot of that came when he was on the bench, though. He's just good. He's all around. He's really good. He gets to the free throw line. He makes his free throws. He can step out and hit a three. He was really good. I mean, there was multiple, probably 3 possessions in a row where they come down. He's in kind of the Tim Duncan spot,
Right.
where he's just facing up.
Yep.
He's just jab stepping. He's patient, and then just drilled it. Probably 3
Like
possessions in a row.
Yeah.
Right? It looked like Tim Duncan out there. It really did. Tim Duncan or Dirk Nowitzki or any of those great shooting big men. Karl Malone towards the end of his career.
So like that's now I'm starting to pay attention more to Embiid. I do think Embiid is probably in the MVP slot over Harden. Well, I wouldn't even put Harden in the top 5, at least for me.
Top 5?
I don't know.
I'd probably put him first because of how good Brooklyn's doing. I guess it is tough. Like, you do got to look at what he did or didn't do in Houston. But I mean, how good he's been in Brooklyn. I mean, he's been a revelation.
If he can, see, here's the thing. Here's why his numbers are so low. It's because he didn't care. Well, to start the season, he didn't care in Houston.
Right.
That's why his numbers are so low. But like Jake said, since he's come to Brooklyn, he has done phenomenal.
Yeah.
Maybe if he continues this until the end of the season, I might give it to him. Especially because I think Brooklyn's going to be...
Just his Brooklyn stats. Even with Brooklyn, he's averaging 25.5, which is still like really good. But he's also, where is his assists? 11.4 assists, 8.7 rebounds. He is shooting 50% from the field, 42% from 3.
Hey, that's good for him, though.
His effective field goal percentage is 59%, which is, if you don't know what effective field goal percentage is, I think it's actually I think it's a pretty interesting stat. It takes more into account how good your three-point shooting is, because obviously threes are worth more than 2. So if you're 40% from 3, 50% from 2, you're actually scoring more with those three-point attempts than you are with those 2. So 59% effective field goal percentage, that's his career high.
Right.
That's pretty good. I just think the way he's orchestrating the offense with Kyrie and KD, he's taken over their team. He's like the workhorse. They're like, hey, come to Brooklyn, man. It's going to be dope. You're going to play with us. Championships. You're in Brooklyn. It's going to be sick. And then he gets here, and they're like, oh, okay, we're actually going to take a majority of the games off. You're kind of going to do what you did in Houston, where it's all on you. And then we're going to come in after you've gotten us to the playoffs. So, Brooklyn's for real. Earlier in the year before the trade, I was like, Brooklyn not going to the finals, not happening.
Yeah.
Now,
the more we keep watching,
I'm pretty confident that they're going to the finals.
Yeah. And let me ask you this again. You really think Utah can beat them 4 times?
I never picked the Jazz to win. I said they could win.
No, that's what I'm saying. If they could, they're going to have to beat them.
Right. I won't say anything will happen.
Right.
I'm not going to say the Nets will win the championship.
Right.
Even though right now it looks the most likely to me. I'm not going to say it will. I think the Jazz could do it. I'm not super confident in it. But hey, crazy things have happened. Hey, I mean, Toronto beat Golden State.
They beat Curry.
No, Kevin Durant.
They beat Curry.
Kevin Durant played in at least 3 games. Klay Thompson played in at least 4 games. Curry and Draymond played in all of them.
No, I think
They beat Golden State. They did not just beat Curry.
they beat them.
There were some injuries, but Golden State could have won.
Yeah, Brooklyn's on fire.
Brooklyn's really good.
And it's definitely the team to watch out for.
They're only half a game now behind. I believe they're half a game behind Philadelphia, who's held the top record in the league for quite a while.
I would say.
I'm surprised at how good Philadelphia's actually been. I was like, we've kind of been watching them, and last year I was like, okay, they're done, right? I mean, the process, the 76ers are never going to live up to it, but they're living up to it pretty good.
Here's the thing that I've noticed from them that's different. And this is one of the reasons I think they are winning.
I think they're giving it to Joel.
Well,
They know who their guy is.
They're not Let me put it this way. Every single NBA team is the exact same except for Philadelphia, in the sense of Philadelphia, at least to me from what I've watched, does not rely on a three-point shot. They do not have great shooters. They do not have great shooters.
I mean, Danny Green and Seth Curry are pretty good, but it's not their go-to. It's their third and fourth options.
Right.
Tobias is also pretty good. Okay, so, they're fourth and fifth options.
When I look at them, watch them play, they remind me a lot of an old style basketball, and that's why they're winning, at least in my opinion. I tell you guys all the time, three-pointers are not necessarily always the best option. Sure, they're worth more, but you're going to look like a real dingus if you go like Anthony Edwards and go 1 for 10 on three-pointers. I mean, just...
Right. I mean, the teams that can't shoot shouldn't. But if you can shoot the three like the Jazz, Golden State a couple years ago, you probably should. And it's just the way the game is moving these days. Three's worth more than two. If you can make them at a rate where you're going to score more points than if you're taking all your twos, take the threes.
Yep.
And play defense.
Oh, that's another.
I think Philadelphia
is huge. That's a huge team.
They're a good defensive team. I think they're second or third overall in defensive efficiency in the league. The Jazz are second or third. It's one of the two. The Jazz and Philadelphia are second and third defensive efficiency, and that's why they have the top top records in the league.
Because defense wins championships. I mean, you guys, you could, like we talked about last week with Brooklyn, how they're averaging the most points in NBA history, but they're almost giving up just that many points as well.
Exactly. That's again the
that
biggest
could
thing.
be their downfall too.
If anything will be their downfall, that will be it.
Absolutely.
Is their absolute lack of defense.
Jake and I played some 2K last week, and I played as Philadelphia. Who did you play as? Clippers? No.
I think it was the Clippers, yeah.
The Clippers.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be Philadelphia because they are a massive team. Like, they're huge. Like, Simmons, 6'10" point guard, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, and Jake won by 2. That was because I took Ben Simmons out of the game and relied on Furkan Korkmaz to hit the game winner. But it was good. Yeah. I think that's all for this week. Did you have a case? If not, you can just tell me during the week and we can...
Oh, dude, I was thinking of one. Let's see.
And you guys too, like...
Tell me why... Let's see. Give me 1 second here, guys. Tell me why... should I do it?
Do it.
Should I do it?
I think I know what it is.
Alright, tell me what do you think?
I'll tell you if I'm right.
Alright, I was going to say, tell me why Pau Gasol is a Hall of Famer.
All right. Okay.
All right. Cool.
That's fair. He's a Hall of Famer. Okay. Thank you guys for tuning in for this week's episode. Probably have we won't have a lot of NBA game action to talk about next podcast, but we definitely will have the All-Star to talk about.
Probably do some more fun stuff. It'll probably be a little shorter.
We might do like a push-up challenge or something like that. Where I don't know. But I got to run. I got to go do that other Disney Pixar Enchanted Forest podcast. Mm-hmm. So thank you guys for tuning in.